Hey Eagle fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome into Philadelphia Eagles Now. Before we start today's crazy Monday video following what was a crazy weekend for the Eagles, let me ask you this question. Do you guys want the Eagles to trade back into the top 10? I know they traded out of the top 10, which we're going to talk about, but there are thoughts that they could trade back into the top 10. If you want them back inside the top 10, type Y down below for yes, or type N down below for no. There'll be a pinned comment down below me. I want to see what you guys think about trading back into the top 10. All right, Eagle fans, let's jump into the latest Eagles news and rumors and this idea of trading back into the top 10 for Philadelphia. Now, of course, over the past weekend, the craziness ensued. I'm sure you guys have already seen it, but Philadelphia went from number 6 all the way back to number 12 overall, which is a big jump from being right there in a prime spot to go ahead and take possibly Jamar Chase or Devontae Adams to outside of the top 10 looking in, where a lot of us expect a lot of these star players are not going to go ahead and be available. So there are some multiple conflicting rumors that I want to break down right now. One suggesting that Philadelphia thought about trading up to number 3 for Zach Wilson, which to me is a lot more smoke than actually fire. But then this new rumor would suggest that Philadelphia could look to trade back into the top 10 in order to make sure that they still are able to secure the top wide receiver or tight end, if you want Kyle Pitts, at number 7, 8, 9, 10, who really knows. So NJ.com has some interesting mock trades right now that would essentially show you what it would take for Philadelphia to go ahead and move back inside the top 10. I want to show each one of these to you because I think it's kind of interesting and really not that expensive to go from 12 back up inside the top 10. So your first one here would be a trade with the Denver Broncos. So Philadelphia could go up to number 9, and all you'd have to give up is number 12 overall, so you move up 3 spots, and then you give them a third-round draft pick, which, of course, Philadelphia has multiple of them, and they include the number 84 overall, which is the Colts' third-round draft pick given by Carson Wentz. So you can kind of see this idea of, okay, 12 is too far back, but what if we go to 9 and Jamar Chase falls a little bit? You draft Jamar Chase at number 9 overall. Not a lot to go ahead and give up. All you got to do is give up a third-round draft pick. The next mock trade here would be a little bit higher up, and you see the cost to move up is a little bit higher. How about Carolina at number 8 overall? Let's say that Carolina wants a quarterback, but they're all gone by number 8. And a lot of suggestions are saying they will be gone by number 8. So the Panthers say, all right, heck, let's go back. Philadelphia comes up to 8, and they give up number 12 overall, of course, and then number 70 overall, which is the Eagles' third-round draft pick. So they keep the Colts one, so they still have a third-round draft pick. They give up their first third-round draft pick, number 70 overall. Again, would make sense and would mathematically be a good trade for Carolina as well. Finally, let's see, they move all the way up to number 7. That would include a little bit more because, of course, you're going a lot higher. Eagles get number 7 overall. The Lions, who are sitting there right now, would get 12 overall. That third-round draft pick, number 70, and then 123 overall, which is the Dolphins' fourth-round draft pick they acquired, with the trade moving back because, of course, of the Dolphins and the Niners, and you guys obviously know what happened with that overall. Here's my thought on this. First off, Philadelphia is going to be monitoring the first 6 picks very, very closely, and here's why. If a bunch of quarterbacks go off the board, then there is a very real possibility that you could have players that you want, like a Jamar Chase or Devontae Adams, falling in the draft, meaning if the fall starts to happen, then Philadelphia could jump up to 7, 8, or 9 and get the guy they wanted all, originally from the very beginning. I know that I have been a little critical over the weekend of the Eagles trading back to number 12 because I keep saying it's too far back for the Eagles because I wanted to be inside the top 10. But if you think about it, maybe Philly will go back inside the top 10, not have to give up next year's first-round draft pick, so they essentially get an additional first-round draft pick via the Miami trade and still are able to move up with the 11 draft picks they have right now to go ahead and get the star player that we are all hoping they can go ahead and get. But that would have to essentially ensure that there were a bunch of quarterbacks gone before number 6, 7, or 8 overall, which I think is the consensus right now and seems to make a lot of sense in terms of the National Football League. Before we keep going here, I want to quickly show this Rob Matty tweet about Jalen Hurts, which I think might throw a little bit more fire onto this flame, but to me doesn't make a lot of sense. We'll just throw it up on the screen right now. Quote, Eagles are unsure about Jalen Hurts. No consensus in the building. After beating the Saints, they wanted to get rid of Carson Wentz. After next 3 losses, they wanted to work it out with Carson. After trading Carson, they considered a trade for quarterback before trading down to number 12. This kind of piggybacks off of the idea that Philadelphia could come back up for a quarterback. And again, I don't see that happening at all. He mentions that Eagles tried to trade it up to number 3. I know that was reported a lot over the weekend. I'm still not officially sold on that. And either way, they didn't trade up to number 3. And it seems like Hurts is going to go ahead and be the starting quarterback here in 2021. So a trade back up to me would only make sense from 7, 8, or 9, as we talked about, if they were going to go ahead and get like a star wide receiver or a star tight end. And of course, the idea of Kyle Pitts or Jamar Chase or Devontae Smith are all of the players that would make the most sense. So Recap quickly. I know they're sitting at 12. That does not mean that they cannot come back up to still get the player that they're looking for, because Philadelphia obviously has been very active so far, and we're still exactly a month away from the NFL draft, and so we'll keep you guys up to date and stay tuned on what the Eagles are able to do. But trading back up is definitely a very real possibility. Let me ask you guys this. You guys want the Eagles to trade back up into the top 10? Type Y down below for yes, or type N down below for no. All right, I want to jump into another report here that I've been seeing online in terms of Philadelphia staying put at number 12 because they expected one of the top two wide receivers in this draft to go ahead and fall to number 12. When you think about this and you go, wait, Thomas, why would Jamar Chase and Devontae Smith fall to number 12? Like, that seems very unlikely, and I agree. But history shows there is some precedent, and NJ.com pointed this whole thing out, about how Philadelphia could still stay at number 12 and have one of the top wide receivers fall down into their lap. Now, the counter argument to this, of course, comes from LBer, and I'll show you his tweet here in just 1 second, where he essentially thinks that the Eagles traded out of number 6 because they didn't expect Jamar Chase to be available at number 6 overall because the Bengals might take him at number 5. So this creates a lot of question marks in terms of what Philadelphia will go ahead and do at number 12, but I do want to show the history and the precedent that Philadelphia, might be able to stay at 12 and still get a wide receiver of their choice. First, though, the counter argument. Let's show the LBer tweet here on Philadelphia trading down. This is interesting stuff here. Quote, with the Eagles believing there is a pretty good chance the Bengals will take LSU's Jamar Chase at 5, Philly felt comfortable with the difference in talent between 6 and 12, and also operated with the knowledge that it'd be hard to get a future first, this being Miami's slot at number 1 pick in 2022, in exchange for moving down closer to the draft, particularly if they looked like the top 4 picks would be quarterbacks, end quote. So there's the counter argument here. Before I show you the pro argument for wide receivers falling in this draft, make sure you guys do subscribe to Philadelphia Eagles Now, as we are growing at a rapid rate and trying to keep you guys up to date, and will keep you guys up to date with the latest Eagles news and rumors here on the channel. So as we approach 20,000 subs, know that we are a month away from the NFL draft, meaning plenty more great draft coverage here on the channel. So stay tuned for that, because we're going to keep you guys up to date on the latest Eagles news and rumors, so subscribe down below. Now, I know what LBer is saying. It says that Jamar Chase to not falling past 5. I don't necessarily buy the idea the Bengals are interested in Jamar Chase. I think they're going to go offensive line, Penn Sewell. We've talked about that here on the channel a lot. But look what history shows. History shows the first 5 wide receivers taken in the last 5 drafts, all but one were taken inside the top 10. Look at this. Henry Ruggs was taken 12th overall, first wide receiver, in what was a really good wide receiver draft last year. Remember that. Marquise Brown, of course, 25 overall to the Ravens in 2019. DJ Moore, 24 in 2018. Now, you did have the Corey Davis draft in 2017. There were also receivers taken at 7 and 9, so that was the last time they were taken very, very high. But it's been a while. And then, of course, Corey Coleman out of Baylor, back then it didn't really work out very well, but in 2016, number 15 overall. So there is some historical precedent for wide receivers falling in the draft, especially in this year's draft when there's a bunch of great cornerbacks, a bunch of great quarterbacks, all 5 of which will go inside the top 10. So you can see a scenario where even though Jamar Chase and Devontae Smith, are really, really good, they still might fall based on the fact that wide receiver is not necessarily as deemed as highly important as it has been in the past overall. So first, let's show you the 94.1 WIP quote up on this, because I think they do a very good job explaining what I'm trying to explain right now. Quote, the last 10 drafts, 15 total have been taken in the first top 10. Over the last 3 drafts, however, 0 have gone us at the top 10. The league is trending against taking receiver early, which is probably the part of the reason the Eagles made the deal. Now, I think Philadelphia might trade up. I talked about that earlier on in this video. If you see a scenario where Jamar Chase falls to 12, great, I'm all for it. However, if he does fall, I could see a scenario where he goes to like 7, 8, or 9, and then Philadelphia come up to 9 with Denver and then take him. So it's not necessarily a guarantee one of these wide receivers will fall to number 12, and based on what LBer said, I think there's still a real chance he could go very, very high in this draft. But Philly traded back for a reason. I think that reason is they're very comfortable with a lot of the top prospects in the NFL draft, whether it is a wide receiver, whether it's a tight end, or a cornerback, or a linebacker. So I'm very confident in their ability to take a right player at number 12 overall, but I do think there is some precedent for us to kind of sit back and go, okay, I think they might be able to still go ahead and get a wide receiver if they were to fall, based on the fact that this is a very heavy quarterback draft class and for pretty good defensive players that teams might want to take over wide receiver earlier on in the top 10. Let me ask you guys this. Who should the Eagles take at number 12 overall? Like, if you just stay at number 12, who should they take? Let me know who that is down below right now in the comment section. I still want a wide receiver, but again, they got to fall, and if they fall, then jump on it. If not, then maybe we trade for, or we go ahead and take the best defensive player available, which we'll talk about here in just 1 second. Before we keep going, the Eagle face masks are still on sale, and some of them are up to 75% off. Go to chatsports.com/Eagles mask, as of course we hope there'll be Eagles fans in the stands in 2021, but of course we all expect them to still be required to wear masks. At least that's what it's trying to be right now. So pick up your official Eagles face mask right now at chatsports.com/Eagles mask. They got solo all the way up to 4 packs. There's a ton of different options. And some of the 3 packs right now, which used to be like $20, are down to $6.25. So, of course, stay safe out there and rep the Eagles at the same time. Link is down below in the description box, chatsports.com/Eagles mask. Again, the deals won't last forever, and they're up to 75% off. Okay, I want to jump into the idea that sitting at number 12 means the Eagles are not going to get a wide receiver, and that's a real possibility. And again, we talked about that a lot. But what if it is not a wide receiver? Who could they go ahead and take? And the consensus seems to be the linebacker out of Penn State, and that is Micah Parsons. This is gaining a lot of steam, especially since the Eagles did trade back to number 12 overall. As we have, of course, talked about a lot, that wide receiver, while I hope it's still on the board at number 12 overall, there is no guarantee it will be available at number 12 overall. So if Waddle and Smith and Chase are all gone, who do you take at 12? And linebacker seems to be one of the needs that Philadelphia could really go ahead and plug and fill that hole if they take Micah Parsons. You got to remember, Philadelphia has not taken, at least not had, a Pro Bowl linebacker since 2005. That was the Axeman, Jeremiah Trotter, who was fantastic. But it's been, over 15 years since the Axeman was at a Pro Bowl all the way back in 2005. So Parsons becomes a real reality that I think would make a lot of sense at 12 if they're unable to, one, trade up for a wide receiver, or if a wide receiver does not fall like I would like it to, back down outside the top 10 to number 12. If that's the case, then drop a like if you guys would like Micah Parsons. I think he's a real possibility and real option there. The Penn State guy up there in Pennsylvania, being the starting middle linebacker of the Eagles, would make a lot of sense. He's obviously, familiar with the city and familiar with the state, and I think he'd be a great overall addition. Drop a like if you guys would go ahead and agree with that. Here's the deal. Parsons makes probably the most sense at number 12. Not because Philadelphia's number 1 need is linebacker, but as you look at this draft and the way it might shape up, linebacker might be their best option at number 12 overall. I know I've talked about how trading up for wide receiver is what I would still like to go ahead and do. You move to number 9 with Denver, number 8 with Carolina. That's a great move, and I would love that. I'd also love a wide receiver to fall back, just a fall in this draft all the way to number 12. That's a possibility. We talked about that. But if neither of those scenarios happen, and you have a scenario where the Giants take a cornerback like Caleb Farley and Dallas takes a cornerback like Patrick Surtain, cornerback becomes, not necessarily the right pick at 12. So therefore, you go for the best player in terms of defensive guy, and that's Micah Parsons. So the connection makes a lot of sense in Philadelphia. The Eagles obviously need help at linebacker. I don't have to tell you that twice. We all know just how bad Eagles linebacker core has been. I think Parsons, in the addition of Singleton and Edwards and Bradley, could be a nice little mix-up there in terms of both depth as well as the starting group as well. And I think that if you look at the overall picks that you can have at number 12, you kind of sit back and go, yeah, there's a lot of potential there, and there's a lot of at least hope in terms of Philadelphia still being able to go ahead and get a star player. I want to be clear. I don't necessarily love the idea of going back to number 12 just because it's a far drop and I wanted a wide receiver, but getting that additional first-round draft pick and still being able to take a great player still remains a real possibility, and if that's the case, then Howie Roseman did go ahead and do the right thing. I want to show you quickly the last, 4 number 12 overall picks. Henry Ruggs by the Raiders in 2020. Rashawn Gary by the Packers in 2019. Vita Vea by the Bucks. He was really good until he was hurt last year. Watson back in 2017. So there's still a lot of talent you can go ahead and have at number 12 overall. And if you want to, the last time a wide receiver was really good at number 12 overall, how about OBJ in 2014? You were to get the equivalent to Odell Beckham Jr. at 12, whether it's wide receiver or not, we'd all be very happy in Philadelphia. Also, Fletcher Cox was drafted in number 12 overall in 2012. So, there's some precedent for some good Eagle players who have been taken at 12, and so 12 is not the worst place to be in the entire world, even though I think a lot of us wish they were a little bit higher. Again, the focus of this part is about Micah Parsons. I think he'd be a great overall pick. I know he missed the entire 2020 season and has had a little bit of issues in the past, but he had a really good pro day, and he has all the intangibles to be a great starting middle linebacker, something Philadelphia, again, has not really had since Jeremiah Trotter. They had it briefly with Jordan Hicks and very briefly with D'Amico Ryans, but this would be a chance for the Eagles to right a lot of linebacking wrongs, and Parsons could become a real possibility for Philadelphia at number 12 overall. Ultimate for today here on Philadelphia Eagles Now. I am your host, Thomas Mott. Plenty more coverage coming up here in the coming days and weeks, and so stay tuned as we keep you guys up to date on the latest Eagles offseason, draft, free agency, news, and rumors. We do it all here on Philadelphia Eagles Now. I'm Thomas Mott, signing off for the rest of your day.